Well, hello once again, my friends, my fellow historians, and my fellow lovers of the SS United States. I've got something new to share with you. This is going to be taken from the awesome magazine, Sea Classics. If you're not familiar with this magazine, you should check it out if you're a ship lover, because each issue, they just have a wealth of information about different ships, and it's just one of my favorite magazines. The latest issue is May of 2005, and the one I want to share with you is Volume 58, Number 5. And in this issue, what'll jump out the most is that it's got a beautiful picture of the SS United States on the cover. And in this current issue, on the cover, true end of an era. SS United States departs its long-time berth in Philadelphia to be tugged to Alabama to be prepared for sinking as an artificial reef off of Florida. So, when you actually go into the article is towards the end of the magazine. You see a double-page picture of the beautiful ship, the SS United States, as she gets into Alabama. The title of the story is called Final Voyage. In the end, the only new home that the famed SS United States could find was at the bottom of the sea. And this article is by David Nye. So this picture is the once grand liner is carefully maneuvered down the Delaware River as the SS United States departs Philadelphia on its final journey. During its service life, the liner carried a virtual who's who of personalities from that era, including the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Hauling these worthless Nazi lovers was certainly nothing to be proud of. John Kennedy, Bill Kennedy, Dwight Eisenhower, Harry Truman, John Wayne, Coco Chanel, Sean Connery, Walter Cronkite, Salvador Dali, Duke Ellington, Cary Grant, Bob Hope, Marilyn Monroe, Prince Rainer, and Grace Kelly, and Elizabeth Taylor, and many, many others. So I'm going to read the article to you, and we'll take a look at some of the amazing photos they have in here as well. As Sea Classics heads to the printer on March 4th, the SS United States had just completed its voyage from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to Mobile, Alabama. At that location, the historic American ocean liner will be stripped and prepared for sinking off Florida to become part of the world's largest artificial reef. Our editor and position is that a lot better end could have been found by the SS United States Conservancy for this very important artifact of American technology. Sinking such a vessel, stating that it is in a form of preservation is akin to saying a Boeing 747 flown into the side of a mountain preserves the aircraft. Once sunk, that is it. From day one, the attempts to save the SS United States have been flawed. 4 decades, the SS United States has been docked at a pier in South Philadelphia. Apparently, the owner of the pier decided to greatly up the rent. Surely, somewhere along the vast coastline, there must have been a pier owner or company that would be sympathetic to docking the huge liner and leaving it until a better solution could be found. It appears that the hull of the great ship is still sound, and eventually someone could come along with a better idea than sinking the grand vessel. Warren Jones of the SS United States Conservancy stated, "The United States will never stop teaching us about American pride, purpose, and possibility. Unfortunately, this is a false and hollow statement. First, very few of the current generation even know what the United States is, nor do they know anything of the incredible era of transatlantic ocean liners. Once sunk, the ship will become a corroding, rusting hulk that will slowly be covered in sea life. It will be fine playground for scuba divers, but that is about it. The sunken liner will not serve as a symbol of American pride because, if anything, it is a lesson in defeat and overall ignorance of American greatness. Much of this is due, of course, to the failed educational system that teaches children to honor the lowest common denominator rather than the highest." Surrounded by tugs and other crafts, wishing the giant well on its final trip, the SS United States departed its long-time dock on 19th of February and arrived in Mobile ahead of schedule on March 3rd. It has been estimated that it will take about 6 months to go through the 1,000-foot liner to strip the ship of the hazardous materials. During the latter quarter of 2024, the SS United States was purchased by Florida's Okaloosa County after $10.1 million had been approved to relocate the liner, sink it, and build a $1 million seaside museum chronicling its history. Looking at some of the pictures on this page, the top picture is literally at an end of the road. The SS United States was photographed in poor condition. It's in Philadelphia, in her dock. One of the lesser-known passengers carried by the liner during the 1963 voyage was Leonardo da Vinci, famed Mona Lisa painting. This artwork was traveling from France to exhibitions in New York and Washington, D.C. The painting was kept under heavy guard during its ocean voyage. The picture on the bottom is with New York City forming a dramatic background. The SS United States heads out on its maiden voyage. Look at all the ships. The next page, instead of the article, it's got more photos. So the top photo, a great deal of sadness was attached to the departure of the SS United States. The liner is 990 feet long and equal to about 5 city blocks. If the ship was stood on end, she would be nearly as high as New York's Chrysler Building. She was also 100 feet longer than the famed Titanic. The picture on the bottom left, launching of what could have been America's last major ocean liner. Look at that beautiful photo of her. And then on the right, an artist creates a final portrait before the ship's departure. The American public had a fascination with the United States as she was being built. A decision was made to open her to spectators 5 days prior to her maiden voyage. News of the opening created a line 14 blocks long, and over 70,000 people took a tour of the new ship before she set sail. The ship's final resting place will be off Destin Fort Walton Beach. Captain Joseph Farrell is with Resolve Marine, and his company has implemented 80 major ship-sinking projects around the world. These projects have been stated as transforming ships into marine life habitats and the top scuba diving destinations. Resolve Marine is also the company that dismantled the wreckage of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge and displaced the cargo ship that slammed into the structure. Farrell had outlined a plan on how the last journey would start. The liner would have to move away from its long-time dock at high tide, and then it had to go under the Walt Whitman Bridge during low tide. The pictures on this page, you could see the one all the way up at the top. This angle shows the poor condition of the liner prior to departure. The width of the Panama Canal played a major part in her design. At 101 feet wide, she could just fit through the canal. The picture on the bottom, in the middle, the profile view of the SS United States. There was a great deal of secrecy surrounding the design and construction of the ship. Some of the details were considered top secret, and she was the first liner to be built almost entirely in a graving dock, and this was done in order to keep the ship out of public eye. And then the photo on the bottom, the SS United States became symbolically entwined with New York City. 3 tugboats will tow the 53,000-ton ship more than 1,800 nautical miles at 5 knots per hour, said Farrell. It had to go under 3 bridges that crossed the Delaware River, through Delaware Bay, into the Atlantic Ocean, around the Florida Peninsula, and into the Gulf of Mexico. Note, from this issue on, Sea Classics will now be referring to this body of water as the Gulf of America, and into Mobile Bay. Workers will scrape the interior and get rid of toxins and asbestos. The removal of asbestos will apparently greatly damage the structural integrity of the ship's interior. Once that is finished, the ship will be towed back out into the Gulf of America, where it will travel about 20 miles southeast to just offshore of destined Fort Walton, where it will be sunk. Farrell stated that approximately 30 perforated panels will be cut into the hull and act as an inlet for water to flood the ship. He also said that 800 to 1,000 pounds of CA explosives will be placed in the hull to sink the ship. Once detonated, he estimated that it would take as long as 5 hours for the liner to sink. This will be an emotional, historic maritime moment, said Farrell. The SS United States is a testimony to America's maritime might and engineering and ingenuity. Rather than turning the United States into scrap metal, which is not cost-effective, she will have an afterlife. Farrell also led the sinking of the aircraft carrier USS Oriskany in 2006, which currently sits at the bottom of the Gulf of America off the coast of Pensacola, Florida. The Oriskany is now known as the Great Carrier Reef. And the photos that are on this page, you can see at the top, Philadelphia, famed between the ocean liner's twin funnels. This close-in photo illustrates the ship's poor condition. Designer William Francis Gibbs was worried about the fire at sea, so he specified that no wood be used in a liner's fittings or construction. There was an exception with the ship's grand piano, and they were built of fire-resistant mahogany to make sure the pianos would not burn. A Steinway was doused in fuel, and then a match was tossed onto the instrument, and it still did not burn. The picture in the middle, the banks of the Delaware River were lined with people hoping for one last look at the famed ship. William Francis Gibbs wanted the United States to be the fastest liner afloat. To help achieve the goal, he made extensive use of aluminum in the superstructure in order to save weight. This made her fastest liner of all time. She could go almost as fast in reverse as the Titanic could go forward. The picture on the bottom, would this young boy be inspired for a life at sea after watching the United States? Can you imagine seeing that sight, the big beautiful liner? The Oriskany is now known as the Great Carrier Reef and holds the title of the largest artificial reef in the world. That will change once the SS United States is sunk. The entire mission, from start to sinking, has to be done right, commented Farrell. The ship must settle upright, so to be firmly planted in the floor of the Gulf. It should be noted that a series of previous owners gutted the ship with the more valuable pieces of the interior and either sold or auctioned them off, leaving the interior pretty much an empty space and devoid of its historic fittings. SS United States is the last all-American-made ocean liner. And looking at the pictures on this page, the one at the top is absolutely gorgeous. The liner almost looks like she is under her own power, except for the tow lines connected by the tugs. From the start, Gibbs worked with the U.S. government so that the liner could be converted from luxury to a troop transport in a short amount of time. In case the Cold War heated up, the liner could carry 14,000 troops, some 10,000 miles, without refueling. The picture below that and to the left, once a symbol of luxury, the liner heads past the industrial wasteland of Philadelphia on her maiden voyage. United States shattered the transatlantic speed record in both directions. She was the first American ship in 100 years to capture the blue ribbon, and that was awarded to her in the fastest transatlantic ocean liner. She still holds the record 6 decades later. The picture on the right in black and white, few sights were more inspiring than the SS United States during speed trials. The picture below that, reporters interviewed people that viewed the ship from various vantage points on a trip to Alabama. They found that approximately 97% of spectators had no idea what the ship was or anything to do with its history. From 1996 to 2025, the SS United States found a home at a dock in Philadelphia's Delaware River. And lastly, the picture on the bottom, the liner arrives in Mobile, Alabama, and heads to modern American recycling and repair services. The SS United States and her fellow liners were doomed by the dawn of the jet age. The new 4-engine jet transports began to carry travelers at reduced prices and, of course, shorter times. Over the decades, Florida has been home to almost every form of roadside hucksterism and freak shows and other businesses to fleece tourists for their money. Will the SS United States join this long line? During February, the New York Coalition to Save the SS United States appealed to President Trump to issue an executive order preventing the ship's sinking. And lastly, you can see an advertisement for the SS United States, America's greatest ocean liner. And this is an operational guide to America's flagship. And that book is amazing. I've shown you guys a review of that book as well. But my friends, I just wanted to share this with you. I wanted to share this with you for a couple of reasons. One is there's a little bit of information in there that I didn't know about removal of the asbestos. And the other reason is I share their opinion. You can tell the writer of this article was not happy with the decision to sink the ship. And that just happens to be my opinion. My friends, I thank you for watching. And again, this is Sea Classics. This is a great magazine. You can either buy it online or you could buy it at the newsstand. So my friends, until I get any more information on this wonderful ship, I'll be sure to let you know. Till then, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.